Hello everyone and welcome back to the Spiegel Mom Scraps channel. It's Caitlin here with another video. Don't forget to use my code Caitlin15 to save 15% off your order. Today we are going to be doing some card making. I simplified the process this time to show you guys not my coloring this time, since I already have a coloring video up over here. I'll have it linked down below in case you guys want to watch it. But I'm using some pre-colored images that I have from my stash, and these are from the MFT Happy Hedgehog set. I'm just going to pull out a couple hedgehogs to use for inspiration for this card. You also see I have a ton of Spiegel Mom scrap mixes already out. I'm going to be using Evergreen Bough and Hannah's Field, I believe it's called, Hannah's Pasture. Those two are going to be the ones I'm featuring on today's card. For my stamps, I stamped them with VersaFine black ink on some Canson watercolor paper and then used my Zig Clean color markers to color them in. For my card base for the front portion, I'm going to be using some Neenah Solar Crest white cardstock. This is the 80 pound. And I'm going to be grabbing some paper scraps. So you'll see I have a paper punch off to the left here. That is from Martha Stewart. It is discontinued currently, but there are several leaf punches out on the market in case you're looking for one for this fall season. And I'm going to be going through my solid color and pattern paper scraps, which you'll see are in those magazine holders. And I'm going to pull out some autumnal colors. I've had this idea for a card for a while now, and I'm finally glad I got to use it, and I can't wait to send it out because I'm so excited with how it turned out. And while I was going through my cardstock scraps, I actually found a perfect sized card base for this card. It is going to be an A2 size card. So the white panel that I cut is 4 by 5 1/4, and then the large cardstock colored or craft cardstock colored piece will be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 once folded in half. So it'll be 4 1/4 by 8 1/2 and then folded in half. Or 4 1/4 by 11 and then folded in half. If you guys need more measurements, leave me a comment down below and I can put them in the description box. I pulled out several colors here, and I'm not sure I'm going to use all of them, but I just wanted to have them just in case. I do end up using a lot of them, and I think it turned out beautifully. Fall colors are really versatile. There's so many different shades of reds, oranges, yellows, and greens, and I think it's important to mix and match those colors. So oftentimes people don't include green when including their fall leaves. They tend to stick with the red, oranges, yellows, and browns, but I think it's important to have that other shade in there since some leaves don't exactly turn color. They just, disappear. So here I am going to punch away at these scraps and then start building. So if you have multiple punch sizes, this would be a really easy card. I only have one size leaf punch. This is like a maple leaf shape. I'm sure there's tons of other shapes out there. But I decided to try to create a wreath at first because I thought, well, this hedgehog's going to be laying a little pile of leaves. Hence why I picked the hedgehog stamps that were facing out and not like standing. So it looks like they're laying down. And then instead of just doing a pile of leaves, I did like a more organic shaped pile, and then I was thinking, well, I could do a wreath of leaves. So there's just so many options. I know there's also a lot of metal dies you could use to create this look with other types of leaves and vines and branches, which would be really cool. So you'll see me here just mixing and matching the colors and realizing that this little guy is quite small, so I want to fill up more of the card. So I'm going to actually use up quite a few of my scraps, which I'm really happy with. I don't pull them out as much as I should. And here I pick out the darker little hedgehog because I just thought he fit better with the color scheme. And I don't have the Zig colors that I used for this, but if you guys really want me to, I can swatch them out and then figure out what colors I use. Just let me know in the comments down below. I'd also like you guys to leave me a comment down below letting me know if you guys make autumnal cards. I know Halloween cards are often made and Thanksgiving cards, but I'm going to make some cards to send out for the fall season coming up. Here we are at the end of August. September's right around the corner, and I know a lot of kids are back to school already, so these would be really cute for teacher gifts, like welcoming teachers into the classroom again if you guys do those, or a teacher thank you if they've done a great job at the beginning of the year helping your child, or anything like that. Something simple like this is super quick and super easy, and you can put a bunch of them out at once. It doesn't take long to create these. The hardest part is probably gluing them all down, which if you use liquid adhesive, it'd go a lot faster. I'm using my giant ATG gun, which was not the best choice, but it worked out in the end. So I'm going to use some foam adhesive to pop up some of them. That way this card has a lot more dimension and has a different sort of effect. I also didn't glue down all of the edges on my leaves, so in the close-up photos you can tell at the end that some of the leaf edges are kind of pushed up still, and I think that gives the card a lot more texture and dimension. Actually gives that effect of a pile of leaves, like as if there were more behind there even though there's not. So you'll see right here I do a pull out from the pile on the top left corner and the bottom right corner, and that's just to give that vertical or diagonal line which helps your eye move across the card. which again, these work in scrapbooking techniques as well, and this would be really cute around a photo on a scrapbooking page to do a nice leaf wreath. So once those are all piled in, I realize I need more leaves. This is looking very barren, and my little guy needs more leaves to lay in. I don't want him laying on the background. So what I do is go back to my scraps and I try to pull out some colors that aren't used. So there's some in orange block that's missing and some more greens missing. So I'm going to pull those out and put them in their spots. And some of them I had to add more glue to. Since they're such an odd shape, they did need a different sort of type of gluing down. So I had to push them down pretty hard to get them to stick, just because I wanted some of those edges up. So I would recommend a very strong adhesive for this card, especially if you're mailing it. I probably won't mail this one, I'll hand deliver it, so the next ones I do, I will use some liquid adhesive so they lay a little flatter to go through the mail better. And if you are mailing these and do use the foam adhesive, I recommend using some thinner foam adhesive just so they don't get caught up in the mail sorting system, because we wouldn't want your card to get damaged, because that would be so sad. So definitely be sure to do that if you're going to be mailing some of these out. And if you guys do try out this card, let us know over on Instagram. We'd love to see your cards, so tag us in your photos and we'd love to see them and see how they turned out. So now that the middle's a little bit more filled in, I'm much happier with it. And then my little hedgehog here can go on some foam adhesive, and I just realized that this foam adhesive that I just pulled out is not sticky anymore. And then I'll pull out another foam adhesive, which is a roll of adhesive, and that's not really sticky anymore either. So I really need to invest in some more foam adhesive. So here I'm looking for some. I have a little bit left in there, but it's not enough for this little guy. So what I decided to do is look in my spare glue drawer, which didn't have any foam adhesive in it that worked. I did end up using the roll of adhesive. I just had to add liquid glue to it so it would make sure it would stick. I believe this is from Walmart or Amazon. It's a cheaper version of foam adhesive. It's not great. Would not recommend. But it did the job for getting me foam, even though I had to add liquid glue. And I'm going to do 2 layers of that so it sort of goes above the other leaves, so he's on top of the pile. And you could do a lot more layering with this. Obviously there's more room for leaves. You could even ink the edges of the leaves up for more dimension if you wanted something like that. And then here's where I realized that it's not really very sticky. I set it down and there's like no stick at all to it, so I just grabbed my fine line bottle with Scotch Quick Dry adhesive and put some on the back, and I'll glue that in place. Now you're probably wondering why I glued all this foam adhesive down when I still haven't put the card front on top of the card base. Well, I'll end up fixing that later on, but I would recommend putting your card front on your card base before you do all this other stuff. I wasn't really thinking when I made this card. And I'm going to even add embellishments before I do that. So here I am pulling out the Evergreen Bough Sequin Mix, which has beautiful like burnt oranges and greens in it. And then here's Hannah's Pasture, which is a beautiful green, yellow, and white mix. And I'm just focusing on the greens, yellows, and oranges for my little sequin scatter here, but it really adds the perfect touch to this leaf pile. And this time I'm actually using my fingers to put the sequins down. There are a lot of larger sequins in this set, and since my Quick Pick stick is running out of stickiness, I really need to re-stickify it. I decided to use my fingers, and I decided that the sequins should be tucked in and out between the leaves, and I'm using different shades of greens and oranges in different sizes, just so they have a little bit more interest. And this really adds a lot more of glint and glimmer to the card, and again adds that dimension that you want when looking at a card or layout. So there's some clear sequins, some opaque sequins, and I really like how it turned out. I'm going to add a couple more. The orange ones really stand out well on this card because they match the scrap cardstock that I had perfectly, and this is a great way to use up solid colored cardstock for any sort of shape punch. Definitely a great way to make backgrounds for layouts and anything like that. So the front of the card is now done. I opted not to put a sentiment on this card, mainly because I don't know what I want to say on it yet. If you saw the stamps that I showed you earlier, there's tons of sentiments in that stamp set, like sending hedgehogs, you can always lean on me, hello friend, just simple ones like that, thank you. So I'm going to wait until I need to send this out and then put a sentiment on it. So here I decide I still have a couple pieces of paper that have room for punches, so I punch out a couple more leaves, and instead of putting them on the front, I decide why not put some on the inside. This is something I've been doing a lot lately, is finishing the insides of my cards. And again, since I'm not stamping a sentiment, this adds a little bit of flair without adding a theme to this card. So this is a great way to add a little bit more to your cards and make them even more special. But that's it for this card. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to use my code at the Spiegel Mom Scrap store. There is a sale going on now, so check out the Instagram page linked down below if you're interested in finding out what it is. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!